If your ex broke up with you and you could tell they didn't want to do it, and it's almost like they feel like they're the victim of the situation, and you're left confused because you're thinking, well, you're the one pushing me away. Watch this video for an explanation. So with a dismissive avoidant, that is somebody whose attachment style formed in the early years of childhood in conditions of emotional neglect, with someone like that, they feel like they can't show up in the relationship emotionally. Imagine for a second if no one ever helped you regulate your nervous system. So, let's say, for example, you're a little 2-year-old kid, you fall down, you hurt yourself, and nobody takes you aside and holds you and says, hey, it's going to be okay. And you just have to kind of suck it up and figure it out for yourself. Other humans don't factor into the equation in terms of showing up for each other emotionally. So I'm willing to bet over the course of the relationship, if you had something that you were going through that made you upset, that made you want emotional support, they probably showed up for you a little bit. They probably talked you through it and stuff like that. But it was at this very surface level. It wasn't very emotionally connected or involved. And that's because feelings are very strange to them. They don't understand them because they didn't really get any sent their way as a kid. And because this is the case, they avoid conflict. Conflict has the potential for anger, frustration, sadness, all very potent negative emotions that they don't want to deal with. So over the course of the relationship, they're not communicating what their needs are, their boundaries. They don't even necessarily know what these things are, and they're going with the flow the whole time. And then finally, when something happens, usually somebody, there's a death in the family, or they lose their job, or something big happens, from their external environment, they will leave their relationships because the problems have been building up the whole time that they didn't communicate about. And now other problems are happening from a different direction, and they don't have the emotional capacity to deal with the situation. Remember, their knee-jerk response to stress is to avoid. A lot of times, if you ever had issues within the relationship, you probably saw them shut down. Okay? And that's what they're doing at a grand scale in the relationship once they get stressed out. When they finally break up with you, you can see in their eyes that they're sad a lot of times. They actually don't want to break up with you. But their thought is that they're not good enough for you. Their thought is that you'd be better off with someone else. Their thought is that I can't give you what you need. Okay? And that's why it's really confusing for you that they're breaking up with you. They're the ones pushing you away. But it almost seems like in their mind, like they have to do it. They have no other coping mechanisms. They don't know how to face their problems emotionally. A lot of times they'll go into their head, overthinking things instead of taking emotional intelligence from the body. So if you can start to understand where all this is coming from, their childhood, the unloved child, the emotionally neglected child, it now becomes